greed, fear, murder, and betrayal are just a few of the human behaviors we find in the Netflix hit series Squid Games. And although many of us were entertained by the suspense and thrill of it all, the show has a degree of educational value than what appears on the surface. In this video, we're going to explore spiritual lessons that some of us very likely overlooked in the midst of all the terror and gore. I'm Javon Harris of Seek, and I'm happy to present to you Squid Game, a spiritual tale of a living hell. No doubt, with Squid Games, Netflix hit a home run in its creation of a story that involves two of the biggest concerns that so many people face all around the world: debt and a lack of money to satisfy it. Most of us, when facing major periods of adversity, like to escape reality by, for example, turning on the television. When we are able to find someone, even a fictional character, that is experiencing a situation more dire than our own, we find a small sense of comfort. Yes, as devilish as it is, we feel better about ourselves when we see that someone has it much worse than we do, which is why Squid Games has met with such extraordinary popularity. Glued to the screen as they binge watched the series, people all around the world became intrigued to see just how far people would go to resolve their money problems. And while most of us may have been satisfied with the noble ending as Seong Gi-hung ended up giving his winnings away, there are three spiritual lessons that we all could stand to learn from this graphic human experience. Lesson number 1: poor choices will always result in poor outcomes. In life, every day, we're given a choice. We can either choose to make wise and informed decisions, or we can choose to make foolish and uninformed decisions. Either way, it's completely up to us. The Bible instructs that we should be prudent in our lives, which means that the decisions we make today should be in consideration of the consequences tomorrow. Now, this is not the same as making decisions as you worry about tomorrow, but rather keeping in mind that for every choice we make, there will always be a corresponding consequence, good or bad. Eventually, we must pay the piper. In the case of the characters of Squid Games, like some of us, we get ourselves in all kinds of debt, never really thinking about the day the bill will come due. And although, fortunately, in the United States, none of us will ever have to face a debtor's prison, our reputation, self-image, and personal worth will suffer as we're shackled by the pestilence of debt collectors, poor credit scores, and excessive interest rates. While I realize that there may be times where we can't help but getting into debt, we really should do our best to avoid it. If we never begin to dig a hole, then we'll never have to worry about climbing out of it. Lesson number 2: a lack and scarcity mindset will place you in a living hell. Cultural conditioning has convinced many of us that because there's only so much to go around, we must do all that we can to get our fair share. The truth is, lack and scarcity are conditions of the mind and actually don't exist in reality. In fact, if we take the time to really look around us and tune out the fear-mongering of the news media, we'd be astonished to discover that we always have exactly what we need, exactly when we need it. The problem is, some of us fail in realizing that we're just one step away from financial freedom. God has given us gifts, talents, and abilities that can be monetized for vast sums of money. All we have to do is take the things we already have and repurpose them for the things that we need. For example, if you pray and ask God for $1 million, do not expect for Him to drop a suitcase full of money at your front door. Instead, He will very likely give you an idea that you in turn can develop and use to attract millions of dollars. We find this truth in the series. As we watch the characters navigate the variety of games, many of them displayed ingenuity and strategy that permitted them to advance to the next level. Imagine if they had simply applied that ingenuity and drive to succeed in the midst of their money problems. No doubt, they could have all found a way to overcome their massive piles of debt, thereby freeing themselves by awakening to the reality that there is no such thing as lack and scarcity, but only pure abundance. Abundance is always overflowing all around us. Again, the trick is to simply be still and take notice of it. The Bible says, "Be still and know that I am God." Be still and know that abundance is your reality. Lesson number 3. The object of our affection is never satisfying. Wealth and happiness, much like joy and peace, is relative. Oftentimes, we believe that if only we could have this or get that, we'd be happy. We'd be satisfied. Only to realize when we get it that the satisfaction is very short-lived. We should learn to be grateful for what we already have, even though it may not currently be much. The value of gratitude cannot be fully expressed here. For one thing, it will help to keep us out of massive amounts of debt, and for another, it will guard us against the disappointment we experience when the effect of having something brand new fades away. Seong Gi-hun demonstrates this principle in a couple of ways. First off, in the spirit of love and empathy, he seeks to spare his friend's life at the end of the last game, the Squid Game. Although his friend, Cho Sung-woo, had proven to be disloyal and disingenuous in his motives, Seong Gi-hun just couldn't bring himself to complete the last step necessary to secure his millions in winnings. For better or worse, however, Cho Sung-woo ends up dying anyway, upon which Seong Gi-hun emerges with the prize money. And after all that he had to endure, all the trauma he had to witness, the money was of no satisfaction to him. And so he decides to give most of it away in the interest and care of Kang San-byok's orphaned brother. Indeed, Squid Games at best is a tale of a living hell. On the surface, it demonstrates that the love of money is the root of all kinds of evil. But in a life or death situation, is that really the case? Was it really the love of money that caused the many forms of evil we witnessed throughout the series? Or was it the burning desire that these characters be freed from their bondage of debt? What do you think? share your thoughts by leaving a comment. This has been Javon from Seek, and I thank you for watching. I love you. Peace.